Happy President's Day to all of you. We're continuing our celebration of Black History Month too, of course, and it's a beautiful day in Miami, Florida. We're sorry, I personally ran a little bit late, and today on the show, Justin and I are going to be trying out TikTok challenges. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I really think, like, actually, we should do that at some point.
I'm down. You already know I'm down.
Okay. No, just kidding. We are today very excited to chat with some change makers in our community. Up first is Jorge Palacios from Plant Philosophy. How are you, Jorge?
I'm doing really well. Really,
Nice.
really well. How are you?
Really well.
Good.
I like
Yeah,
that.
good.
Yeah,
I
I'm
like
good.
to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, I would think that you've been doing well because all through pandemic, you've been in a garden.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, despite all the chaos and all the different changes that has been happening, we still have been able to do what we've been doing since the beginning through the Greenhaven project at the Overtown Greenhaven, where anything, for those that don't know, anything we grow there, we give it away to the locals or to families or use it for homeless feedings. But at the time as well, there's just so much food distribution happening that they just couldn't get them everywhere. So in many cases, an organization called Bridge to Hope, they would give us a lot of packages and we would give those out to families in the areas and stuff like that. So during harsh times, during, these radical things that are happening, we always want to make sure that we're able to be consistent with helping those that are struggling. So to the best of our abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I first got exposed to this group's project over at the Opelika CDC. We were planting the community garden over there, and you guys had pulled up with your van of plants and goodies. So that was kind of cool. But you guys are actually, can you tell us a little bit about what exactly Greenhaven Project is and where you're located, etc., just for people who don't know?
Yeah. So for those that don't know, Greenhaven Project, it's a nonprofit that originally started through the Overtown Greenhaven, which is a community garden right slap down in the middle of Overtown. Fortunately in that area, there's a lot of different epidemics happening where, there might be a lot of drug abuse, or there's only corner stores. In some cases, it might be considered a food desert. And there might be some gang relations as well. But we knew in the case of being in this space that we didn't want to come and change and try to, do what other places such as Wynwood are doing. But we wanted to come into these spaces and, help inspire more. It helped that when it was originally started, it was between me and David, which is a brown and a black man, to kind of have that diversity and also that influence of just being able to relate and just knowing that there's, with the combination of just us coming together, whether you're black, brown, or white, that, we can accomplish so much more. So within the space, once we got it, we knew that essentially what we wanted to do was give back. Because in many cases, when you come as an outsider and you start to charge the community, you start to be a part of certain issues such as gentrification or making people feel alienated from what you're trying to do. So there at that space, we don't charge for anything. We grow a lot of local food, a lot of things that were donated by certain organizations and nursery growers such as Tree Amigos and Little River Co-op, that they all believe in the mission and they want to help to move it forward, and to know that anything that's being grown there and given, that it's all just going to families and those in need. And most importantly, part of that space, and shout outs to those that really put in the effort, is the youth, is to kind of create this safe environment and just the alternates of what you can do in your life. From teaching them about growing, from teaching them about just various aspect of just, that there's just different people that want to see this succeed because they would just want to help people from their hearts. That, despite what they're surrounded by, whether it be, violence or gunshots or whatever it is, that that there is another way. Yeah. And essentially that's the main thing. And I feel like where the heart of everything comes in, that at the end of the day, there's always another way.
And where did you grow up?
I was born and raised in Miami Gardens, kind of like in the, I don't know if you are from Miami, but the Carol City area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think I've been there before. Just being honest, I've been to Miami Gardens, but I don't think I've been to Carol City. But I have met a lot of people from Carol City.
Nice.
I live in Liberty City. And so now I'm in my mind, I'm kind of clicking and connecting, because what is Carol City like?
Carol City, at some point, it was very similar to, I guess, how Liberty City and Overtown was, where, it kind of had its harshness. These areas are predominantly Black communities, but Carol City has changed significantly, more so because that area is very close to where the Hard Rock Stadium is now too. So, in some cases, there's like, unfortunately, like what I talked about before, where like some families can't really afford these significant changes that are happening around them. So a lot of them get pushed out. And
where did they go? Where did the families of Carol City go?
From what it seems like, in most cases, when a lot of folks out here gets pushed out of their own neighborhoods, a lot of them seems to be migrating towards like more like southern, like Homestead and stuff like that.
The flood zone.
Yeah. Yeah, which is crazy to think
right
about.
Right by the nuclear power plant.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've never acknowledged it like that, but that's from what I heard, that a lot of them have to like travel more that way, or they would just leave Florida in general.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel bad hogging the mic, but I'll just keep going. So for me, food is very important.
Yes.
I want to get your perspective on this. Why don't you guys just, help with maybe food stamps, or just give them free meals or things like this? What is the importance of doing the garden approach to food security and equality?
Well, the concept with that kind of goes in line with teaching a man or a woman how to fish. It's that you can keep giving all these free meals, you can keep giving all this free produce, but at the end of the day, there's no real security on that. There's just more of a liability, where it's like we're being relied on to just give, and instead of just giving that knowledge, which is more eternal than just giving something that's temporary. To grow a plant and for it to continuously give food, that's more eternal than just to give someone a meal that's already been prepped. So that's more of our approach, is that we want to create that influence of being able to grow your own food and that sustainability for yourself. So that way, if something happens, if things hit the fans and and grocery stores are out of food, what are you going to do? I always like to plant that seed in people's head, especially with now how real things got and how there's like just food shortages everywhere. That if you don't really have your own garden, if you're not really focused on that, then what are you really going to do? But the importance of that too is that it not only just comes with food and being able to teach people how to grow and have that sustainability, but from what I acknowledge from a lot of people that have been in that space, is that for them, it's also therapy. So I also understand the importance of reconnecting with the land and reconnecting with source and just being outside, in a time where everyone needs to be cooped up. It's important to get some sun, get some air. Because, at the end of the day, I don't think people realize there are some cases where even being inside your house is kind of slowly killing you. Whether it be your AC, your Wi-Fi, all these things that's not natural to the body. It's like, it's not really playing a role in a longevity for us,
Yes. Yeah. And our bodies are, I think, 70-80% water.
Yeah.
Right. And so we need to be in motion. Like stagnant water starts to like mold up. So you've got to move around. that's just a very kind of like, but
Yeah.
getting outside. I personally have a garden, and I love it. I'm in the garden every single day. For you, what are some of the things, like for the viewers, tips, like what can they start growing? Like very easy to start off. Maybe they're not sure. Seasonal stuff, Florida, you know?
Yeah. So as far as seasonal things, just for those that don't know, to keep in mind, like now is like the best time to start growing. People see Florida as just being tropical all the time, and sure, that's cool and all. Maybe fruit trees can thrive during certain periods, but once the summer comes, it's over for a lot of plants. A lot of farmers, for folks that don't know, a lot of farmers actually take a break during the summer because it's just so unbearably hot. And every year, for those that do live in Florida, y'all know it's only getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So right now, it's definitely the time to start trying to grow everything that you can. What I would say would usually be easy starters that can essentially thrive during this time would be collards, different varieties of kales from curly, red Russian, dinosaur kale. Get all your tomatoes in, your peppers, some eggplants. Those are more like the traditional annuals that you should have an easier time to get started with. And keep in mind, with seeds, you just don't want to put any seeds in any kind of soil, because that's something that I teach through plant philosophy, which is also separate from Greenhaven. Greenhaven is more of a nonprofit. Plant philosophy is more like my passion project. From there, I always like to teach people the concept on seed starting and the diversity and the importance of just putting different mixtures and different basically nutrients that's going to help to propagate seeds. So keep that in mind. Not just any soil works for both seeds and for actual plants. You really got to have like a good mixture. And for those that don't know, just very quickly, something that can thrive pretty much forever are perennial plants, which perennial plants, examples of those are these special varieties of spinaches from, and y'all can write notes of this, is Brazilian spinach, Filipino spinach, Okinawa spinach, and longevity spinach. All these spinaches, they're perennials and they thrive all year long. And each of these, you can continuously cut pieces of them and continue to clone them.
Yummy.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
I was just gonna. So I guess my question would be, like, you have your own garden, right? What about people that don't necessarily have as large of spaces to grow? Like, what would be some advice that you would give to them? Like, they want to start a garden, but they don't necessarily have a lot of space.
Yeah. My advice is to always have, because you can always finesse how you grow plants, especially if you have somewhere that has sun, somewhere that can be outside and get rain and get water and, allow that moisture to thrive, is that whatever you use, make sure that there's some kind of drainage in there and that there's like deep space for the roots can thrive. Yeah. So in most cases, like you can even finesse with getting away with like creating a mini garden in like one of those shelving bins, I seen someone one time, they have an apartment, but they were able to grow sweet potatoes in one of those clear shaving bins. And what's cool about it is that you can actually see the sweet potatoes growing in it.
How fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a matter of the space, but at the end of the day, what's really important is just how much care you're putting into it.
Yeah. Friend Jeffrey Shaw, who, by the way, is amazing and has a book coming out next month. He has a vertical garden. He lives in a condo in Brickell, and it's on his balcony. It's just, up there. It does the drainage down, and he's all about it, posting online, growing up a storm. It's amazing. So you can do it. You can make it happen if you really are committed and want to. And I tell you what, there's nothing that tastes. You really haven't tasted certain foods. You think, oh, I've tasted that. I've had that. Until you've grown it, until you have tasted it from the ground to your plate. Like, I remember the first time I tasted cilantro that I had grown on my own, I was like, this is what cilantro tastes like?
Yeah.
Blows my mind, or carrots. Like, you think you've tasted carrots. You really haven't until you've grown them yourself. They taste so different.
Yeah.
It's wild. Tell us a little bit about plant philosophy real quick, because you mentioned that that's a little bit different,
Hmm.
and we want to know about that.
Yeah. So yeah, originally that's before the Greenhaven project started, that's kind of like where I um kind of started with like giving knowledge out,
Mhm.
and just more so kind of creating like a side business out of that as well. Um, but the main focus on that was just to kind of create these events where we can put like people together. As far as there's always a theme. The main thing is always teaching people how to grow from seeds,
Mhm.
from teaching like all the different soil amendments that we use to make this combination, where everyone does it together and we all mix it together. And then there's always some form of intention setting. So certain nights we have done like poetry nights, meditational nights, where we pretty much just do all these things around the seeds. So that way it's like you're putting that energy around it too.
That's
You know,
so
yeah, it's been really an experience, and like people always have like this blissful feeling out of it, and it's just like a lot of fun. Where it's like people get to take home their seeds, but they also get to be in a space of meeting like all these local folks, all these different community leaders, and just feeling good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I started tuning my water. Yeah.
What is
I
that?
play abundance music now, abundance
Nice.
frequency
Oh.
music
Okay.
into the water pitcher prior to, when I fill it up, then I sit abundance music on top of it and I start playing it. And I tell you what, I feel like I'm semi like quantum jumping through stages of my life from doing this little life hack. It's
Mhm.
crazy. Intention setting is good. So I can't imagine. I want to taste some. I want to eat some of these plants that y'all have been intentionally planting.
Mhm.
Like that would be very beneficial to my future. Where can we go to find out information about the classes? Is there, you guys also sell plants still? Are you,
Yes. Mhm.
You're selling the plants. If I want to get some of the food that's been grown, what do we do? How do we find?
Yeah. So to find me and any inquiries you might have, you can follow me at Plant Philosophy LLC on Instagram. And to inquire more about the community garden, volunteering, and learning about all the fresh foods that we're growing out there through the Greenhaven Project, you can find those on Instagram on the green.haven.project. And then from there, you'll be able to find our emails, our website, and all that good stuff, and all the different events that we got going on.
Yeah, and your Instagram is hilarious. Like some of the stuff you post is very entertaining. I really like it. Like that, and that giveaway that you did for the bee. That was so funny. The comments that people came up with. But where is the farm located? And also, or the hours that can we stop by?
Yeah, so the schedule varies. There's different hours and times. The main time that you can catch us out there together, because throughout the week we all host different hours. Is Saturdays from 12 to 4. You can also find our schedule on our Instagram, and the garden is located in the heart of Overtown at 1160 Northwest 2nd Ave.
Nice. And the parking situation?
It's very open. There's like pretty much parking all around the block, and there's never any issues there because the community knows us, family knows us, and no one never really like tempers with us or anything. So
nice.
Yeah.
I
That's
love
cool.
it. I'm gonna stop by.
Definitely.
So thank you for taking the time to come and chat with us today.
for
I
sure,
hope you can stick around a little bit so we can talk more.
absolutely.
After the show wraps up.
Mhm.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we are going to just continue on with our beautiful day here in the studio. Justin, what did you do this weekend for Valentine's Day? Any self-love stuff? Girl, my single sister. Oh.
I mean, I don't remember doing much. I had sushi yesterday, which was
Ooh,
good.
from where?
Ordered Rusan Japanese steakhouse. It's like maybe like 15 minutes away from where I am.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. I didn't really do anything. What
Sounds
about you?
Blissful. I did a ton of home improvement projects.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
was on a little DIY sprint. I actually did have a very sweet guy ask me out for Valentine's Day, but he asked me at like the beginning of the week, and when I looked at my calendar, I looked at my life and I was like, by the weekend, I know I had to get my DIY done this weekend because it was like, there's not another time. Like, because I was having a transitional move in my home space. So it was like, I could get these projects done that I've been wanting to do. And I knew I was just going to be so tired. I was like, I really my plans this weekend are like not showering, to be honest with you.
I mean, you guys can always reschedule. It doesn't have to be on Valentine's Day, right?
He didn't take it very well. I haven't really heard from him since then.
It wasn't meant to be. That's all I have to say.
Well, with that said, I'm very excited to have Benita on the show from Education Concierge and Black Girl Ventures. So we've got a ton of stuff to talk about today.
I have my paperwork ready.
Oh, wow. Okay. Nice.
Thank you for coming down. Benita Gordon, guys, is in Miami, back in Miami, I should say.
From Dubai, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's been, but you used to live here.
I used to live here, yes. Went up to DC. I'm a turnaround specialist on paper. So that means I go into schools that are on fire, and people hire me to come in and help just redirect and help improve the schools and parent engagement and discipline and academics. Then I left DC, what we call it the DMV, left the DMV and went overseas and did the same thing, taught English and helped set up English departments for schools that use American curriculum. And a lot of times they did not have a Western teacher. And so that's what I did.
What are they doing using American curriculum? Why would they do that? It doesn't seem.
The students,
no offense to the educators out there.
No.
Much respect.
A perfect question, because a lot of us ask, we were like, so you're using Canadian, British, and American curriculum?
Oh, not the USA.
Yes, they are using American
also?
curriculum, British curriculum, and Canadian curriculum. So,
Okay.
And the thought from understanding that I've received is that it prepares their students to be able to go to schools in those countries.
Okay.
Interesting.
And then they come back home and use their understanding and their wisdom
Yeah.
to improve the UAE and other countries, their home countries.
Mhm.
And so I was the same way. I was like, I'm sorry, you want me to come do what? And you're using our curriculum?
Okay.
Okay. And how much? Yes, sure.
Right?
Of course I will come to Dubai. Why wouldn't I? Yes.
I read a report that Abu Dhabi jumped to I think it was they jumped like 9 spots or something crazy in the most thriving cities of 2020.
Yes. So they very much, I think, when the pandemic hit, it did throw everyone off. But I think that a lot of times when we see buildings happening or things going up, we have to remember that those are things that have been in process for years. And we're just seeing it happening now. So when people were like, they're still building, well, that building has been in works for 5 years. And then we're just seeing it. So it's a lot of behind the scenes coming through. And that things are still moving and pushing forward. And so that's what Global Education Concierge does. We helped parents, we help educational institutions, community stakeholders, even in the pandemic as we were pivoting. We were having a conversation earlier.
Yeah, we were.
Adjusting to the newness of education. And that's what we are here for. And parents are reaching out, other educators are reaching out. And that's how we're here. So if anybody's looking to need assistance, we do coaching and consulting, which is huge right now, internationally and in the United States, because the pandemic, of course, is international.
Right.
We were actually having a conversation about the gap as well, right? Do you want to speak a little bit more about that?
So our conversation was, the philosophy is this: the gap has been here. Before the pandemic hit, educators across the world, especially in the United States, was speaking about the educational gap. It goes back to inequality. It goes back to us understanding how we teach our minority students, our Black and Brown scholars, how they are learning, the type of academics we are giving them to prepare them for the future. So the gap has been there. And I was just saying that I think we have a lot of others who the pandemic exposed the gap to them.
Yeah.
And now they are like, oh my goodness, what is happening? Where do we go wrong? What do we need to do? And I was just saying that the two things we need to do is, one, listen to the professional educators. We are here. We have many degrees. We have been in the classroom. I'm a veteran of 23 years. So I've seen all of it and some. And listen to our scholars. They're telling us. And that's what we were talking about. The gap is letting us know that scholars are now understanding. They do like hybrid. Some of our scholars do prefer online and then classes they need to come into the building. I need to come in for lab. I would prefer to do that. And they are understanding how they learn. And so the gap the gap did not widen as much as people want to believe it has. The gap has already been wide. We have been pushing students out. We have seen success stories, and we know that even here in Miami, across the nation, our students in the Black and Brown community or our Title I schools, the students are being successful. Parents are engaged. The pandemic exposed the infrastructure of public education. And now we just need to figure out the plan. We cannot go back to what we were doing prior to March 2020.
Yeah.
Education now has to progress. And we need to listen to professional educators, and we need to listen to our scholars. What do they need? And then we're looking into the future. Like, all of us know, who would have thought you needed a social media manager? That wasn't even a job when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Right.
We didn't even, what is social media? But now we want our students to have progressive thinking. We want them to have critical thinking. I want you to create an app for me quickly. We still need our traditional jobs: nurses, doctors, lawyers, teachers, mechanics. Here in Miami, AC. I need my AC tech. Don't play. Like, I know it's winter, and the
Yes.
rest of the world
Yes.
is in a wintry mix. But down here, if that AC goes out, I still need my AC tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
So that's where we were talking about the gap, where we still are working. The pandemic exposed the gap to people who were not in the trenches already with us.
So do some people call it the gap and some people call it the divide? Is that correct or no? Am I just making that up in my head? Because when you keep saying the gap, I'm like, it's a divide. There's a clear divide. Because I've seen data of maps where it's layered information. So what they do is they layer the neighborhoods of Miami-Dade County, and then you can see where people of color live across the county. And then you layer another on top of it, a map of the Wi-Fi, who has access to Wi-Fi on top of that map. And so you see, oh, do the people of color have Wi-Fi? And it's like, no, right? And then there's one more layer of data on top of that, which is the grades and the graduation rates of our students and our children here. And so that, of course, I mean, it's almost like you're looking at one map.
Yes.
It's just so clear. Boom, boom, boom at those three levels. So to me, it's like this division. And you're right, it goes back super far and it's unacceptable.
Yes.
And I'm not here for it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to get a little aggressive on the show, but we can do better and we can see better. And what I hope people can understand, I'm not even a parent, and I understand the value of education for every single part of my life, for my business, for my safety and security, for my overall happiness. Education is the centering point for me of everything. And I know that the United States of America, we can do better.
Yes.
Here in Miami-Dade County, we can do better. We're going to have a special episode focused just on education on the Miami View Woman Show this Friday at 6. I really hope some people can tune in to that conversation. We've brought together, I'm sorry to plug this during your segment.
But it's necessary.
Yes,
it's necessary.
We have to have these difficult conversations about what are we doing right now for our parents, for our kids,
Yes.
for our teachers, for ourselves. I mean, it's I could go on and on.
No, and I think, one, I'm going to say this, and I appreciate you saying that you're not a parent, because one of the things that I always stress, community involvement is essential. If you live in the community, the schools in your community, you need to be involved in. It is essential. The education of the scholars of that community affects all of us.
Right.
It
Yes.
affects all of us. It goes back to our clientele.
Mm-hmm.
How do we hire? How do we keep our scholars here in Miami? You know, yes, I want you to travel the world, but I want you to come home and work here. I want you to be here. I want you to use your wisdom and your knowledge of entrepreneurship and business and medicine home. And so it is essential that our community stakeholders speak up about what's happening. And I do want to go back to your question about the gap and the divide. They are different.
Okay.
The divide exposes the gap.
Got you.
And so when you said I can put this layer on top, and it does show it, it proves it. And we were speaking earlier when one of my students broke it down for me, very simple and plain. As we were leaving in March, we were handing out laptops and hotspots.
Yeah.
And she looked at me, and she is now a high schooler, that because was able to matriculate on. She looked at me as she was exiting, and she said, "Oh, we could have had laptops and hotspots all of this time." And we just looked at each other and gave a nod of understanding, and she proceeded to exit. And she and I have communicated since then. We haven't seen each other, but she is now a high schooler, and I was her middle school teacher. And that's one of the things that's exposing the divide and the gap.
Yeah.
Where yes, they need to have one-on-one. They need to have exposure. Our students are proficient in cell phones,
Right.
not in laptop.
Yes.
And we have to understand the difference. So I hear people, "Well, the kids can do a TikTok, but they can't." No, let's not
Yeah.
compare.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Let's respect. But I have to teach my students how to type with two hands. And they hear in my classroom, remember, you're not holding your phone. We're on a laptop. Let's use two hands. And we have to remember the students we have in front of us. Remember where they are.
Oh my gosh.
And then let's bring them where they need to be. And the students laugh at me because I get it. This is how they're sitting like this. And they're just on the laptop. And I go, "Wait, remember laptop?" And they go, "Oh." And that's okay. We just have to remember where they are. I incorporated something new in my classroom because we were tired.
Yeah.
We are on the laptop all day. I definitely, professional educators, we are on our laptops all day now.
Yes.
And we now do a 4-minute break. And I know other teachers were like, "Well, what are you doing?" Well, we need to go to the bathroom together. And CDC regulations, the students stand outside 2 at a time, they know. We have our water bottles, we go fill them back up. Here in Miami, because we have the sun out, thank you, we go outside and stand in the sun and get some vitamin D.
Yeah.
We refresh, we regroup, and then we come back in.
Yeah.
And I didn't think it was working. I really thought I was doing it for myself. And finally, one day we were coming back in, and one of my students, she looked at me, she said, "Thank you for this. We need this." Me wanting to cry, but I'm not that teacher that cries in front of her students. Just went to my seat and was like, okay, they need that break. So one of the things we have to remember is that we're teaching human people. They're not adults. They may be the same size as my students. They are taller than I am. They're actually larger than I'm 5'2", but they're still children. And they still need a break outside.
Yeah.
And we walked around. I even walked around. I stood in the sun. I looked at a butterfly. We laughed and joked. They acted like they would put me in that TikTok video. I walked by. They deleted it. Thank you. But we laughed and joked, and we went back in. And we continued our study and our lesson on the computer with our headphones on. And they understand this is where we are for right now. This is where we are for right now. But it's gonna be different, but we don't want it to go back to what it used to be.
Yeah. I love that. I told my interns last week, I do one-on-one meetings with them every week. And I told them next week, all of your meetings are going to be walking meetings. Yes. To force them to do that, to get outside.
Yes.
We're going to see, I can't force them to do anything.
No.
So we're going to see how many of them take advantage of it. But I hope they all do. We can all walk around, be together virtually.
Yes. And one of the things that one of my coaching clients, she was having a really tough time. And I said to her, I want you to think about and journal this weekend. What type of teacher did you need? What type of teacher did you need? And are you that teacher for your students? Because that's what I have to remember. I had amazing teachers. I'm from rural Virginia. Shout out to Brunswick Senior High School. And all of my teachers from pre-K to high school, and even I attended Hampton University, all of my professors were what I needed. If we needed to sit outside, we went outside.
Yeah.
If we needed to take a break, we took a break. If I needed to stand up because I was one of those kids that did fall asleep doing math,
Yeah,
Yes.
I've been there.
Okay. Go stand up in the back of the room, take your book, do your work.
Hmm.
And we missed that part.
Yeah.
A lot of us teachers have gone to flexible seating because our
Yeah.
students needed it.
Yeah.
And so we're just ready to bring that part back where,
Mhm.
especially in English classes, I know English teachers, we loved our flexible seating. If I had a student who needed to lay across the floor and read that novel, you needed to sit in a lounge chair. We had nice chairs like this. They wanted to feel like they were running their business or company. That's what we did. And so
Nice.
one of the things we do at Gordon Global, and I do call it GGEC a lot of times, is we help other educators and parents. We even help parents set up their home classrooms when the pandemic hit. And so that's something that we've started venturing into. And then the next thing we're doing is recruitment and retention. So we have school districts reaching out saying we cannot find teachers of minority teachers.
Hmm.
We know they are out there. We are doing something wrong. Can you help us?
Mm.
And so we work with them and we help them with their social media and their planning and their recruitment and reaching out. And retention is huge. That's going to be a big thing that's going to come this summer.
Mhm.
A lot of professional educators are going to bow out
Yeah.
for many different reasons. And so we need to make sure that as community and as school districts that we are paying attention to the self-care and well-being of educators.
It is going, we're going to have to talk a little more offline about this because it's a huge shift that we're about to see with education. Because I'm watching the technology that's coming out today, and that's wild. But we can't let you go without discussing something very exciting. The fact that now Miami has its very own Black Girl Ventures in the city.
Yes,
And
we are here.
Yes, Benita, you are one of the leading initial leaders. What do we
Yes,
call
so
it?
we call ourselves change agents.
Change agents.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, 4 of us. So we have Latoya Stirrup, we have Michelle McCoy, and we have Lisa Wilkinson, the party of 4, the 4 horsewomen. And we are here. Black Girl Ventures started with Shelley Bell, we call her our boss, but our leader in DC. And we focus on Black and Brown female founders.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And we help them gain capital and understanding how to pitch their companies, how to do crowdfunding, and then all the things in between of running a company from the beginning, even if you just have it here in your mind
Mhm.
and you want to get it on paper, to if you have a $200,000 company, but you still need access to capital, you still need how do I grow and develop.
And applications are open.
Applications are open. You can actually go online now to Black Girl Ventures and type in Miami, or we also say BGV 305. That is who we are. You can go bit.ly.ly/BGV 305, all caps. It will take you directly to our application. Applications are ending soon, so I won't go in there. But even if you don't have a pitch deck, which is what we use
Mhm.
to pitch, we help you get your pitch deck prepared.
Right.
Mm. Okay.
Well,
We help guide, and we really want to open up the floodgates.
I'm going to be
Mhm.
submitting several pitches.
Yes,
I
let's
got
go.
mad ideas up in here. In fact,
Mm.
I need to loop you in on one
Let's
because
go.
we're going to start some enterprises up in here with Black Girl Ventures to
Yes.
back us up.
And you know,
That's awesome.
Miami, we are always hot, but we are the hot spot right now. So ed tech in general, businesses in
Mhm.
general, entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
This is where it is happening, and we are already here. So let's go ahead and get some money.
Yeah.
Let's go get it. I'm super excited about that. So Black Girl Ventures is in Miami. If you're an
Yes.
entrepreneur, I mean, I know you guys are specifically focused on, for this first round, you have some focuses, but that shouldn't discourage anyone from applying.
No, and actually what we've gone back in and we have opened it back up. And so we
Great.
want everyone to submit and apply. And once you're in the round and once you're in, we call it the queue,
Right.
Mhm.
we're able to pull you, and then you become part of the BGV family community. So anytime we're having an event, anytime you want to reapply for a different one, anytime you want to come to our practices, or hey, we have some special coming on. You might want to come into this Facebook Live.
Mhm.
Then you're already in our family.
Yeah.
And so, and that is key. That is essential, making sure that you're connected with other founders and
Mhm.
other businesses.
Right. So,
Mm.
so just on the website, do we need to get into your Facebook group? Do we need to get in the Instagram group? Or like, well, is there a WhatsApp back channel? Like, what's going on? Put me in centralized.
So we do have a Instagram for BGV_305.
Perfect.
So
Mhm.
once you join, even if you
Or
want to
you
send us
follow
a message in the DM, we do have our own email. It is miami@blackgirlventures.com.
Mhm.
But we also if you go to our Facebook, or once you apply online, we have what we call BGV Connector.
Perfect.
And that is like what we say, the back channel, where we're constantly sending you out grants from a plethora of organizations.
Right.
And then you're able to have a mentor.
Mhm.
You're able to connect with other women in that group who are in front of you, or who like, hey, I got this grant. So this is how you need to do it.
Yeah.
Or let's work together. We'll meet up over here, or we're going to arrange a meeting or a Facebook group for all of us to come in.
Yeah.
We can ask questions. How do we need to do things? What do we need to do? So it is a community, but it's also us making sure that we have access to the capital,
Mhm.
because a lot of time we do not.
Yeah.
The statistics prove that we don't.
Right.
Yet we have some of the most thriving businesses in the U.S. and internationally.
Yeah. Max from Caribou, a leader, woman, one of the powerful women leaders in tech here in Miami,
Yes.
she likes to say it like this. She goes, it's like going for investors. It's like have you heard her say this before on Clubhouse?
Yes.
Do you want to say what you said?
No, because I'm going to mess it
I'm
up.
going to mess it up too.
Because I sneak in the Clubhouse and sit there while I'm like doing other stuff.
I'm on Clubhouse way too much. Okay, so she says, investors have this in front of them, a bodega that's like, if you buy a lottery ticket from this bodega, you're almost like 75% chances more you're going to win. But instead of going to that bodega, you're like, no, I'm just going to travel down to this bodega over here because it looks the same as me, and it's like it's more comfortable there, and that's what's happening.
Right.
But, so it's just kind of wild, but I mean, it's all about human connection and stuff.
Yes.
So,
and that's what it is, especially now, where we are only connecting on social media
Mhm.
and on lives. So when you're doing your pitches, it is much more about what this means to me.
yeah.
And who I am and where I can take it with your help. But I've heard her say that, and it is exactly. It becomes, now I need to make a connection with you through glass, through this mirror, through the window, and so we teach you how to do that.
Yeah.
And everybody's personality is different, but we know how to pull it out so that you can shine, and so that your business will shine.
Okay. And we didn't cover where people can get in touch with you for the Education Concierge. And as we start to wrap up, just any last tidbits, tricks,
Tips.
and tools, we call it. So you can find me on Instagram, social media. I am the Edu Concierge, and Twitter is Edu Concierge BG. I do have a website, Gordon Global Education Concierge, and Facebook. I also have a podcast. The Education Concierge podcast is on all podcast platforms. And one of the things I would say is, parents, you have a voice. Testing is coming up. And do you think that your child needs to be tested in a pandemic?
Right.
That's it.
Very good. Yes. These are, I mean, we're going to have to answer that question.
I
Chime
have to
in
answer
to
that
that,
question.
answer that question in the comments. Thank you
Yes.
so much for coming down today, taking the time. I'm really excited to have you in this city. Feel
Thank
like we're in a
you.
really good place.
Yes.
I want to make sure that we do the most we can with you while you're here, because I know you be moving around.
But that's okay. International is okay. Now we know how to navigate. Even if I'm living in Portugal, I'll
Yeah.
still always be
Mhm.
connected to Miami.
Yeah. Do you ever go up? I've been thinking about going to the Urban in Overtown. I hear it's popping. Do you ever go there?
Oh, yes, I've gone twice now.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go for drinks.
We're gonna go to the Urban, and I'm gonna have a ginger ale on the rocks. But yes.
Okay, great. I'll have a ginger ale too. I don't need to be
Yes,
doing too much. Like
no.
I got work and stuff.
Yes, and we can have and I found a great vegan place that we're gonna go to.
Okay.
Yes,
Let's do it.
You come with us.
Down.
Yes, thank you,
Yay.
ladies. Thank
Okay,
you so
we are
much.
just making plans on the show today. We are racing to the top.
Yes.
This is not a joke out here. This is not a drill. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to keep the fun going every single Monday at 2 p.m. This is our new time. Thanks, Justin. You're holding it down with me. You're amazing. And thank you so much to our wonderful guests, Jorge and Benita. Tommy, you rock. Thank you, Miami Community News, for sponsoring this program. We are over and out.